Welcome to the Five Guys and Five Friday feedback. Today we're going to be talking all about how insurance can either make or break you. On Monday's pod, we had Mr. Mark Massey here with us in order to talk all things insurance. So today on Five Friday feedback, we're going to be recapping that and bringing up any key points that we might have overlooked or just kind of talked a little bit too less about on that day. So let's get right into it.
Let's do
Dom,
it. Yeah.
How'd you feel about that conversation on Monday? I saw you taking notes like a madman.
Dude, I was if you look back at that pod, I was giddy for a lot of it. Like he'd be like, "Yeah, so we're talking about a term and you can convert it." I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can roll it over and like do these like XYZ." And I'm like, "Really?" Like you can see the wheels turning in my head. I do have a thick thing of notes. And I'm actually excited to announce that he's actually going to be back next week. Because you're going to be in Japan. I was like, "Well, we got to give the people what they want. Got to give them another pod." So selfishly, I'm going to be taking that pod all to myself and bringing Mr. Mark Massey back again, round 2. But yeah, loved that pod. If you haven't already seen it, go check it out. Monday's pod, great pod. But yeah, what was your favorite part about it?
I mean, we talked about a lot of different things. I think the biggest thing that I liked was just getting into the understanding of why insurance is important.
Yes.
I think too many people, they think that insurance is kind of like a scam because, and I understand that it feels like I'm paying a premium every month and like, I haven't died. So why should I keep on paying for it? It's kind of like, why should I pay for car insurance when I don't get into a car crash? Well, it's not for when you don't get into a car crash. It's for when you do.
Yeah.
That's when you're so thankful that you have that insurance. I know that Mark was throwing out a lot of different terms that I was kind of worried the listener didn't understand. He said like term, whole life, IUL, indexed IUL, and all these things. So I was worried that maybe our listeners would be like, I don't know what any of that means. So, a term policy, just for the easiest standpoint, is think of your renting life insurance. So I'm going to rent life insurance for the next 15, 20, 25, 30 years for a set amount of money, meaning that if I pass away in that 20 years, I'm going to get whatever set of money that I agree to. Yeah. But if I die 21 years, if you wanted a 20-year term, at 21 years, you get nothing. And the nice thing about term is that it is discounted for that value, is that we don't know if you're going to die in the next 20 years. Most likely you will not. But that's where a whole life policy, that's why they cost substantially more, because you are guaranteed to die at some point.
Yeah.
Where with a term policy, you're probably not going to die, ideally, in the term limit.
I would hope not. Yeah, I'm trying to make it to at least 100. That'd be great.
At least 100.
At least. Let me tell you, I'm going to be the first one in my bloodline to get to like 110 maybe, hopefully. With advancements in medicine and the cold plunging that Chris is putting me onto, listen, I could live forever.
Have you cold plunged yet?
I've done a little bit of cold plunging. I've been doing a little bit of plunging. I'm not. Let me tell you. I must be honest. I'm not a Chris Monzon. I'm not there yet. You're not going to see the daily videos from me, unfortunately. But it's just so much fun once you get out of it. Once you get in it, it sucks. Yeah.
I actually stopped doing the videos because I was only doing the videos till I established it as a habit. So I did the videos for 2 months, and now that it's a habit ingrained, I'm like, I don't have to do these anymore.
I don't have to. And new habit is making the videos.
No, the habit was making sure that
the cold plunge.
I stuck to the cold plunge every day.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Yeah.
So getting back on track, although, a Friday pod is a little bit, I wouldn't say unhinged, but unscripted, a little bit more conversationalist between you and I, recapping Monday. He talked a lot about, determining the right coverage for each person. Like there's no one policy fits everyone. Everybody is different in personal finance, hence the personal aspect of personal finance. Could you talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So we talked about 2 different things. Let's go ahead and just talk about quickly disability insurance and life insurance, because there's a bunch of other things we talked about, but those are going to be the 2 that majority of our audience members, based off of the demographic that we happen to reach, are going to be at. So disability insurance is what happens if you were to become disabled for whatever reason. And there's both short-term and long-term disability. Now, how much money we need to have in terms of payout each month, that's going to vary from person to person. And then also how long it's going to pay for is going to vary from person to person. The biggest thing we want to do is make sure that, God forbid, on your drive to work, you get in a car crash and now we can't work for some amount of time. Are we able to supplement our income for a little bit of time? Because like Mark said, the biggest value that we as young people, the biggest value that we have is our time, and we convert our time for our money. So it's losing that income, losing that stable job can really derail a retirement plan entirely before you really even get to the point where you are building wealth. That's why Mark mentioned a few times the first part of the Certified Financial Planners course load is all about how do we mitigate risk. It's risk management first off, because if you don't have that, any small thing can derail the rest of the plan, so to the point that you can't even get on that plan if you're so far behind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a scary place to be as well, you know. One thing he talked about a lot that I thought was so interesting, and it kind of goes against how I was raised, and it's incorrect the way I'm doing it, but he says you should always seek someone who's a professional, who knows what they're doing. You know, I know for myself, giving up control is sometimes tough. You know, I want to do it all myself, right? It's like I can't do insurance by myself. I can't buy a house by myself. I can't do all these things by myself. I gotta do it with people who know what they're doing, right? I wouldn't want to live in a house that I just built. It's my first house, right? You know, the foundation's not gonna be good, right? And what he was talking about, how, you know, find someone who's qualified, find someone who knows the game, who's been in the game for a while. You know, you don't really want a rookie, but find someone who can secure what you want, and he was a master at what you want. Like how he was saying, like you and Mark were saying, like a CPA might have one agenda for you. He does his job, but it might conflict with your job, right? He's trying to save you money in the short term within the taxable year. You're trying to make the money for the next 20 years. You know, so it's like it's a give and take. And I think that was so interesting because I never thought about that. It's like you have multiple people with multiple different perspectives, all getting different versions of the story, possibly. Hopefully not, but possibly. And they're just making the best decisions they can. And it's like, damn, I wish I could get all you guys in a room, just like a big round table, and just like let's just all discuss this. I want to pick your brains on all of this. That might be a cool little service maybe down the line. I don't know. Getting a round table of the minds.
And I do that with my clients. Sometimes I'll meet with their CPAs and stuff like that. We'll all sit on a Zoom call together and get things done. Or sometimes with like their estate attorneys.
Yes,
I do that kind of stuff actually pretty often.
It's good to know that's available.
Yeah, I know something that you said, that it's hard for you to relinquish that control to somebody else, and I agree with you. It is difficult, and that's why you want to find somebody, if you are going to work with an advisor, for the right insurance, for the right financial planning, for the right, you know, whatever you want to do for yourself. You're not finding someone who's going to tell you this is what you're going to do. You're going to find someone that's going to help you, guide you down the right path. But ultimately, the thing I tell my clients at the end of the day is, I guide, you decide. You're the hero of your own story. I'm just, you know, I'm Gandalf the Grey. Like I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, but you're Luke. You're Frodo. You're the person that actually has to get it done. Okay, fine, not Frodo. You're what's the other? What's his uncle's name?
From Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just the Frodo one just caught me by surprise.
Whatever.
You get the you get
the message. Is that you're the hero of the story, like not me. So when people say like, oh, I don't want to talk to an advisor because the advisor is going to make me do something. Well, no advisor can make you do anything.
No.
A good advisor should just tell you like, hey, these are the consequences of not doing these. This is what you could do, couldn't do. Make a decision.
Simple as that. As simple as that. You know, I think it's what people want and don't want at the same time. Like I don't want to give up control, but I want you to make all the decisions. But at the same time, you give me the perfect plan, but now I have to execute it. It's like, dang. It's like, don't be lazy, guys. Just, you know, if you get a plan, just execute the plan. I mean, Chris go for it.
That's the hardest thing, right? Is that how many times have I told you that I've charged people $3,000, $4,000 for a financial plan and they never execute on it? And that's when it took me years and years to finally realize that the plan doesn't mean anything if you're never going to execute on it. So sometimes it's better to work with somebody, work on their money mindset, work on all of the issues that they're having. Because there are some people that even if you give them the perfect plan, maybe they came from poverty, like kind of like how I did, and they feel like I'm not worthy of being wealthy. So they'll almost sabotage their own plan, even while it may not seem, it's not intelligent to do, it's not logical to do, but our emotions are not logical. No. You know, our money mindset, it's not logical. There's a lot of things that that we've picked up through all of our lives that just screw with us. So you have to be able to work through that with somebody, and sometimes having a trusted advisor, someone there that can listen to you and point out, hey, you're not making the right decisions here, here, and here. Ultimately, the advisor can't make you do something if you're making the wrong decision. Hey, I want to go ahead and I think I'm going to take all my life savings and I'm going to go to the casino. I'm going to put it all on black. I'm going to double it. Well, an advisor is going to say, like, that's not a good idea. This is the statistics of you losing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the advisor can't stop you from doing that.
No.
It's up to you to not make that decision.
Oh, guys, don't go risking everything on black or on red. Just don't. Please don't. And I know that's like a silly analogy, but people do it all the time with, it's not going to be at the casino. It'll be, oh, I heard about this stock from my brother-in-law, right? He says it's going to go up. I'm putting everything on it.
Yep.
Guys, come on. How much does your brother-in-law know about stocks? As much as you?
Especially now with like crypto stuff, I get that constantly. Like, hey, there's this new crypto thing. They're telling me that I can get this guaranteed return. And unfortunately, majority of the time when people follow those, they're depositing their money into someone else's bank account. Like, just it's really as simple as that.
It really is. It really is. It really is. Like, and we've listen, if you've been in the game long enough, we've all fallen for it. We've all had to go through that learning phase, unfortunately. And if you just learn our lessons and just not do them, you'd save a lot of money. You'd have a lot more money in the long run.
Yeah, but it's really tough, especially getting back to insurance when you're supposed to be able to trust somebody, right? Hey, how much life insurance do I need? What kind of life insurance do I need? Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who have perverse incentives, right?
Yep.
And I can sell people life insurance. I can sell people whole life, all of those type of things. And I do get a commission when I do those. And I'm very straight up with my clients, like, hey, I'm going to collect commission on this because I have to in order to sell it.
Yeah.
But there are some people out there who aren't fiduciaries where for most people, I think, like we talked about with Mark, it's better to get a term policy. And then in the future, you might want to convert that to a whole life policy or index universal life policy or something like that, depending on the financial plan that's going on and where you are in your lifestyle at that point.
Yeah.
But there are other people that would say, well, I don't know where you're going to be in 15, 20 years, but I know right now I need extra money and I make more money selling a whole life policy than I do a term policy. And that's why I think whole life policies, universal life policies, they have such a bad rap, because to young people, like to you and me, to our age demographic and to the age demographic that we normally talk to, a whole life policy or a universal life policy is a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
At our age right now, it is a bad decision. It's a better decision to get a term policy and invest the difference. But then when you get a good term policy that has that convertibility aspect, that gives us more options so that in 15, 20, 25 years, we don't know what the future holds, but that gives us the ability to maybe change it if we want to. And it's a big if, right?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think a lot of people go towards universal because it's like, I just want to be done with it.
You mean whole life?
Yeah. Thank you. Whole life. I know that's how I was initially. It's like, I just want to get it now. That way it's like, I die in 5 years, die in 100 years. It's like, I'm covered. But I don't know. It's not always the best option. You got to do your own research, guys.
Because you can do the term, right? You can still have it up for 20 years. If you die in 5 years, 10 years, 10, 15 years, 19 years, you're fine. And then at 20 years, that gives you the ability to see where you're at in life. What's going on? Do I want to change this?
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you that optionality, and that optionality is huge. When you lock yourself into a whole life policy, you've locked yourself into a whole life policy.
Yeah.
And then I know for like a lot of the index universal life, the way that they're trying to sell that to young people is by saying the infinite banking thing, which we talked about on Monday. The infinite banking thing, it definitely works, but you first need to grow your wealth.
Yeah, you got to be rich first.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, they end up hearing that. They're like, oh, I want to be my own bank. I want to do these things. And they go ahead and they will purchase these policies thinking that I'm going to be rich in a few years. And they're being sold as get rich quick schemes. Yeah. And there is no way that you can guarantee that you will be able to grow your wealth exponentially in the next few years. There's only one good way to guarantee it, and that's getting rich slowly.
Yeah.
That is by making money, living on less, investing the difference over enough time to get there.
Yep. I think that's one of the things that it's like, that might have been a little disappointing for our viewers, Like, we always want the quick path, but there's
Mhm.
just the only quick path is the slow path. So, which sucks, but hey,
Well, this is life, right? I mean, are
yeah,
there going to be some people that can put all their money, like put everything into crypto or into whatever, to one options trade, and they put it all
blow it
basically
up,
on
and yeah,
red,
yeah,
and every so often they hit and it works out great.
yeah,
But if you continue to put those odds in their favor over and over and over again, eventually you will lose.
hmm yeah,
So what we're trying to do is not trying to win right now. The biggest thing for financial independence is making sure you don't lose. It's not winning. It's
no,
just making sure that you don't lose.
yeah. The object of the game is to stay in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get taken out. You can't play if you're not in the game.
Yep.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. I think
And
there's sorry, you go for it,
no
Chris.
good.
I was gonna say that, like, it's a scary world if you don't have insurance. It's he talked a lot about how, like, his son has insurance and he's 22 and, like, he's got this, like, huge policy. And I'd never heard something like that. Insurance is one of those things that's not really talked about in my family or in my friend group.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't even consider it. Like, I didn't even think about, a 22-year-old having $1 million policy. It's crazy. I thought that was really interesting. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a back and forth on that, right?
Mhm.
It's when you're doing that, when you purchase it so young, you're purchasing it with the fear that who knows where I'm going to be in 4 years, in 5 years.
Mhm.
Could I no longer be insurable due to some unforeseen thing? So
Yeah.
being able to get it while you're young, that does guarantee that you have it. But for me, I'll tell you from a personal anecdote, I didn't buy my term insurance until I was in my 30s. I didn't get it when I was young, and I still don't pay that much for it. I waited until I had someone who was dependent on me, on my income, in order to determine that it was time to get term insurance. And did I run a risk? Yeah. Between when I was 22, of course, I was healthy as a horse. When I was 32, luckily, or when I was 30, I was still healthy.
Yeah.
But there could have been something that could have happened. I mean, I got in a car crash years ago. My back's all messed up. Luckily, that didn't have anything to do with the insurance policy that I got.
Yeah.
But it very well could have, and I could have been uninsurable by the time I was 30.
Yeah.
Luckily, that didn't
Definitely.
happen, but that was the gamble that I took.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting, looking at insurance from a caretaker perspective. Like,
Mhm.
you have your wife, you have your dogs, you have your cat, you have the house, you got bills to pay, and you're getting insurance to mitigate the ideas, like, oh, say, I don't know, say you get strep throat, right? And it lasts for like 6 months or something crazy like that.
Mhm.
And you can't speak, and your whole job is speaking, right?
Yeah.
Then you can use your insurance to, like, offset your expenses, correct?
Yeah, that's what disability insurance would be. That'd be short-term disability. And then
Yeah.
long-term disability would be a little bit different. Let's say I get my trachea crushed at jiu-jitsu or something like that, and I can't talk anymore at
way
all.
more. Yeah.
And now that long-term disability is going to continue to pay me out for the rest of life. Or that's what life insurance does. Life insurance is not protecting me. Like if I'm dead, it doesn't matter to me, but
Yeah.
it matters to me for my family. Like if I was to die right now, I would feel good knowing that, well, not great, but like, you're going to feel good knowing that my spouse is taken care of. If she was pregnant with a kid, that kid will be taken care of. Our dogs will be taken care of. Because I think the worst thing that could happen is that you leave this world and your family, the people that you're leaving behind, have no plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when there's two parents in the household or whatever the situation is, even if both parents aren't working, sometimes I'll hear that a lot where the stay-at-home mom or the stay-at-home dad's like, oh, I don't need a policy on me because, I'm not bringing in any money. But just because you're not bringing in physical cash, like you are still delivering a huge service and being able to care for the kids that if you weren't there, your spouse would not be able to go out and make the money that they're making. It'd be impossible because you have to be watching the kids. They're doing your job.
Yeah. I mean, the value of a stay-at-home parent is unreal.
It's uncalculable.
Really is.
Yeah.
Uncalculable. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it really is. It really is. Because daycare is so expensive. All that whole business. But yeah, I learned a lot about insurance on our last pod. I hope everybody learned a lot as well, and I'm excited to have him back in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited for him to come back with you and just have a conversation with you guys about things. I think the biggest thing that I took away on that pod was how complex this stuff is. And I kind of forget how complex it is because I've been doing it for so long. But then with it being so complex, it almost forces you to go out there and find somebody that can help you. Because you can go online right now. There's a bunch of different places you can go and get a term insurance. But is that term insurance going to be transferable in the future? Can it be converted? Most likely will not be. And most people they're searching for the cheapest price, and cheapest price is good. You want to have a low price, but you also want to make sure that it has all of the accessories that you want it to have, because you don't know what the future holds. That just makes it really tough when you're trying to find a good advisor, a good trusted person to ask, because there are a lot of grifters out there who are leading people astray and give other people like Mark, like myself, who, yeah, we do insurance, but we're also fiduciaries. Like we are taking what's best for the client into effect.
Yeah.
But there's other people who aren't doing that. They're just out there trying to screw people over, and it gives the rest of us a really bad name.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One bad apple will ruin a bunch, Is there anything else you wanted to chat about insurance and Monday's pod?
No, I think the biggest thing is, if this is something that interests you, you do reach out to somebody. You want to make sure that you're finding somebody that is looking at you holistically. They're not just like, okay, this is how much coverage you should get, and that's all you're going to need. Don't worry about saving for retirement. Don't worry about all these other things. You should really be, whenever you're trying to assume how much money does someone need for disability insurance, how much money does someone need for maybe long-term care or life insurance or any of these things. There's a lot more going into it than just how much money are you making right now? How much money do you have saved? It's also, what do you want in the future? If you were to die right now, there's just so many factors that need to be taken into effect that I think unless someone has that holistic view that they can both manage money, manage investments, manage basically everything, they really can't make the right and impartial decision that's best for you, or at least guide you towards the right decision.
So you kind of want someone who has a big picture view and handle everything.
Yeah. And that's the reason that I partner with Mark. Like when someone comes to me for insurance, I'm not the one who's going to tell them this is what you should get. Yeah. I have the license, but that's not my game. So I bring Mark in and I tell Mark, hey, this is all the things that we're looking at. Here's the full financial picture. Mark will sometimes come back to me and be like, hey, this is the best one. I'll look at it and say, that's not the best one because of this. And Mark said, oh, I was unaware about that aspect. And it's like, yeah, but I was aware. So that's the reason that you want to partner with somebody that you can really trust, who's going to really have your best interest at heart. Because there's a lot of people out there that do not.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that concludes our insurance part of today's podcast. I don't have any other final thoughts on that. I thought it was a great conversation. I love talking with him.
Yeah, me too. Mark's a great guy. I've been working with him for a while, and he was very kind to come on, and I'm glad he's going to come back with you next week to talk about, I think you guys maybe talk about inflation a little bit. Who knows what else you guys might go on to, but there's a lot of things that Mark is an expert in. So I'm glad to have him as a part, and hopefully we'll be bringing on more guests in the future like this. So if that's something you enjoy, please leave it inside the comments. Let us know what we can do to continue to bring people on, but you have to like and subscribe, because the more people we have, then the more people this reaches, the better people we can get on the podcast for you.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, it's now time for viewer mailbag. Let's get right into it. Why did my dad use his credit card to pay off my student loans? A little bit of a doozy on today's episode. Dear Fi Guys, I hope this gets selected for the podcast. It did. I'm reaching out because I'm in a bit of a tough spot and could use some really good advice. Yeah. Here's the deal. My dad, bless his heart, covered my tuition with his credit cards without even telling me.
Oof.
I had no idea. Now, he's struggling big time. He's been paying more than the minimum each month, never missing a payment, great credit score, but for some reason the credit card companies won't cut him any slack. Every time he calls, they brush him off, suggesting things like debt consolidation, collections, which would wreck his credit score. And he's been a model customer at that. His income to debt ratio isn't even bad, but the interest charges are killing him. He even, this breaks my heart, he even had to go back to work after retiring just to keep up. I can only imagine how terrible that must feel. I can only pitch in so much because honestly, my degree hasn't landed me a high-paying job yet.
So does this sound like this listener has graduated already?
I don't know. I would think so, because aren't loans like deferred till the end of graduation?
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Yep,
Okay.
probably.
I've tried getting a loan or a credit card to help him out, but my credit score isn't that good, so I can't get anything close to the amount he needs. Um, so he's got about 50, oh my gosh, 50 or $60,000 spread out across various big name cards like Discover, Capital One, Bank of America. I'm desperate to find a solution. Is there any type of government program or loan scheme that could help him out? Maybe there's a way for me to take on his debt without ruining my own financial situation. At this point, I'll do whatever it takes to give my dad the retirement he deserves. Any advice or assistance you could offer would mean the world to me. Thank you. From trying to fix my dad's credit blues, I'm searching for some good news. Wow. How about that? That breaks my heart. That kills me. Oh my God. Oh, first off, what a great father, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like the dad.
It's a very really thoughtful gesture. Yeah,
like our dad really loves our friend here that wrote in, but the father has no idea how money works.
No, I think yeah, I mean he made an act of love, which is commendable, very 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 commendable. It just wasn't executed properly.
Yeah,
it wasn't planned for properly. It looks like, and for him to come out of retirement, oh, that breaks my heart. Just I can't even say enough. What do you got for us, Chris?
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because he did do it from a place of emotion, a place of love, and like we said before, sometimes those emotions aren't the right things that you need to do when you're talking about money. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of logic. And it sounds like our listeners asking us a few questions. The first question is like, or they didn't ask this question, but they were saying like, her dad is writing in or is calling up the bank companies and saying like, what can you guys do for me? Will you lower my interest rate? They're not going to lower your interest rate. Like, you've lost the game. This is how credit cards work. You went ahead and did it. And like, I'm sorry you're put in this spot, but this is what credit cards are designed to do. Your dad has zero leverage with the credit card companies for them to give him a lower rate. Like, I guess at this point he could maybe look at like a personal loan or like a HELOC or even a consolidation of credit cards into like a zero APR. The only issue with that would be a zero APR transfer typically has about 3%. So if it's $50,000 to $60,000, that could be pretty huge. And then he needs to make sure he's paying off that card within whatever that year or 6 months or whatever that time frame is, that it's a zero APR thing. Yeah, I mean, this kind of sucks that he did that. That's where he really should have talked to somebody, because I don't know what his interest rate is, but most credit cards are somewhere between 20 and 30%. So while she had those student loans, that sucked. Like, it probably would have sucked, but her student loans would have been somewhere between 4 and 7%. Yeah. Her dad, by doing what he did, multiplied it by like 3x. A factor of 4, 3 or 4. And then put it all on his back. But there are some good things with her if she still had it. Yes, the interest rate would have been lower, but she would not have been able to declare bankruptcy and get rid of those.
Correct.
But now that her dad paid them off with a credit card, he could declare bankruptcy and get rid of it.
Oh, that's such a weird. I don't want to say loophole, but like, what a loophole! I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Now, I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm not saying that bankruptcy is the right thing to do. And if you are more concerned about like how does bankruptcy work and everything like that, go back to episode 32 of the Fi Guys. We talked all about that, which maybe we can link inside the video afterwards. So stick around to the end. I'll have that linked for you. But if your dad is retired, if he already owns his own home, bankruptcy honestly could be an option for him. It's not the option that I would probably throw out there, but that could be something. But your question is, are there any government schemes? You legitimately put that. Are there any government schemes that can help assist him with this or anything like that? I mean, it's really going to come down to, you can either do the debt snowball or the debt avalanche. And at this point, it's probably going to have to be the debt avalanche and just go for whatever one has the highest interest rates. Yeah. Does your dad, is he in a good financial situation at all? Or was he just living off of like Social Security? It would be my guess, because if not, he could have used like maybe retirement accounts or something like that to pay off the credit card debt. So my guess is he was on a fixed income, already retired and doing okay, and then decided that I'm going to use these credit cards in order to pay off my daughter's student loans, which in hindsight, even in foresight, is just a terrible decision to make.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is why we talk about this, guys. Having a financial advisor is so important. They can save you tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. They can save you so much money. They can save you so much headache. I can only imagine the stress and the weight that is on this father's shoulders and the daughter's shoulders as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't even ask for it. He did it by himself. And now that burden's on her, as well. This is why it's so important to get in touch with someone like Chris, who has dedicated their life to money and understanding it and making sure that the money works for you and you don't work for the money, and stuff like that. So big shout out to Monzon Wealth. If you want to get in touch with someone like that, Chris is here as always. But yeah, I mean, a beautiful gesture turned into chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos. Terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah. And really at the end of the day, I know that our audience members want us to give us the solution, wants us to give us the loan scheme, the government program.
Wish there was.
The only government program that there is bankruptcy. And that's going to be a debacle in itself. Like I said, go to episode 32 to kind of hear about what that's going to entail.
Yeah.
If that's the way they want to go. But in terms of like how they can get out of it, he can maybe do a home equity line of credit and get a lower interest rate in order to pay off that debt. He could do a personal loan, which should have a lower interest rate than the credit cards do. Or he can do a consolidation onto one credit card, but that's going to run with like a 3% thing. So based off what they said, if it's all just on credit cards, you can call the credit card company till you're blue in the face, asking them to give you a lower loan or a lower interest rate. They're not going to do that, because why would they kill their golden goose? Like,
yeah,
you're paying them money.
It's a sad truth, but they're in the business of making money, you know? So, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, they're not your friend.
No.
So, and we're not our credit cards friends, and we use credit cards strategically here at the Fi Guys all the time, but it's with the understanding that the credit card company is not my friend. Like, I'm never going to call the credit card company and be like, hey guys, I just got 100,000 points from you guys. Do I get a prize? Like, no, they don't care. They're mad that happened. Like, they want me to screw up and to pay that high interest, which unfortunately your father did. And now they're going to be stuck with that. So his only options are pay it off, and you can pay off the debt, which is going to be high with a credit card because it's going to be harder because that interest rate's at 20, 30%. Or he can do a home equity line of credit or a personal loan. But remember, with those, if you do the home equity line of credit, you're putting up your home as collateral. Yeah. So I really hope you can pay that off. Yeah. Or if you do a personal loan, that can work. It'll probably be a lower interest rate, but I don't know how his credit score is. She said that it's still fine. So hopefully he'll be able to get it okay, because at least he's making minimum payments on the credit cards. But I would get that sooner rather than later before he misses a payment and his credit score declines.
Yeah, but also like I don't really know, and I mean no disrespect, but I don't know how much the daughter knows about his finances when she says like his credit is fine. It's like, really? Because I wonder what his credit utilization is, because it sounds like, I mean, it sounds like he just filled it up, and that's like, that's one of the beginner rules. Just like you only use 1% of your credit utilization, but people say use 5%, 10%, 15, 20 maybe. But
yeah, she even said that her dad's debt to income ratio is really good, which if he has $60,000 in debt and he had to go back to work, it clearly can't be.
Can't be. And we're not dissing the guy.
No, definitely not.
We just want to have.
He did a gesture of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's commendable. It's just, if you don't know what you're doing, it's perfectly okay to ask for help. Perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know how. Listen, if there's a gas leak in the house, right? I don't know how to fix a gas leak. I'm not gonna try and figure it out. I'm gonna call Southwest Gas. I'm gonna call the gas people. Tell them there's a leak. I was about to explode. Duct tape isn't gonna fix this one, right?
Yeah.
I think for him in his situation, going to a financial advisor is the best option, because we can only give surface level, and they can really get into the nitty gritty of it all. Yeah.
Either he's going to have to go to some sort of debt counselor, or he can, you can pass this on to your father and tell him to reach out to Chris and Monzon Wealth. I'd be happy to talk to him.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not like a debt consolidation person. That's not really my thing, but I can at least get a larger perspective to see what's going on. Because sometimes people in this situation, they might have money in an IRA or a 401k or something like that, that if he was retired, he can pull that money, but maybe he's like, oh no, that's for future me or something like that, which is like, well, you're screwing yourself right now. And I guess I can understand that, but we need to look at everything before we make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sending big hugs from Arizona. Good luck to you and your father. I'm really sorry, friend, that this is what's going on, but I know that your dad did what he did out of love for you. And sometimes the hardest thing, and for parents out there that are listening to this and saying like, oh, well, the dad did the right thing because you always take care of your kids. The best way for you to care for your kids is to take care of yourself.
Yeah. It's like they say on the plane, put the oxygen mask over yourself first, then help others. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to,
because
you're no help to others if you can't help yourself.
Yeah. Let's think about how much time and like stress this is put on the daughter trying to figure out how am I going to take care of my dad? And God forbid, like dad can't work anymore. And now he's falling more and more into credit card debt, more and more into what if he lost his house because he couldn't pay off the credit card debts and stuff like that. And now he needs to move in with a daughter. Like if you don't take care of yourself first, you really are just screwing your kids over.
Yeah. But yeah, best of luck from Arizona. Good luck. And yeah, that's all we have on that take.
Yep.
So it's now time for win of the week. Change the tone up a little bit. You've got, in fact, I'm going to go first. On win of the week.
I think I should go first because yours is pretty good. So, I mean,
no. Shut up. No, Chris. Okay, listen. Chris and I are in different stages of our journey, okay? That's my excuse. He's a little bit old. He got a little age on me. Got a little experience on me. So his win of the weeks are usually a little bit better. But my win of the week is I started making ads for my side hustle. And I was using this cool little software. I'm not gonna name it. I'm not going to give him the free promo. But the concept of the software is you put the link to your store in, right? Or the link to this product specifically. You put the title of the product, or the name of the product. You put the description. You add any photos, any videos you have, you click send, and it'll generate like a little ad for you. It even has like an AI like face, has the AI voice. You can change the voice up, change the face up, change how the ad looks and everything. Tested it out last night. It went concept amazing concept. Execution was one of the worst executions I've ever seen. Like the website itself, super slow, super slow. It didn't work as well as I'd hoped. So unfortunately for me, my win of the week is I'm now having to learn how to properly make ads in like, Final Cut and iMovie and whatnot, and using 11 Labs, but with artificial voices and captions and stuff. Thankfully, I'm really good at editing, so it's not a problem. But yeah, that's my win of the week is I'm finally starting to make ads for my side hustle to generate more income to become financially free and possibly go on a wonderful trip down the line, maybe with Chris. I don't know. With that being said, what is your win of the week, Chris?
Before getting to mine, congratulations, man. That's really cool. I know last time we were talking, you were just getting the website up and running. So now you're already moving on to ads. It just kind of shows that, like we talked about last week when we did the side hustle one, it's not about getting from your destination immediately. It's about 1% better every single day and putting in that time and consistent effort. If you would have started off saying, I want to do some drop shipping, I guess I need to have all these things done right now, you would have never gotten started because it's too big of a chasm to leap. Yes. You said like, I need to get the domain name. Once I get the domain name, I need to set up the site. I need to get some products. I need to go here. Then I can start running ads. Then I can start doing this. Maybe I'll drop it on Facebook Marketplace or wherever you want to do it. But until you figure that out, you're never going to be able to figure out like SEO and all these other things. It's one step at a time, and make sure that when you start a side hustle,
there we
it's
go.
not, I need to get it done right now, but everything is figure outable. I can figure it out when I get there.
Abso-freaking-lutely. When I started, I knew nothing. And now that I'm this far, I still know nothing, right? I'm still very, very much a beginner. But just having the courage to take that leap of faith and to remember that, we've done harder things before. I have very little money in the game. I'm not risking my house. I'm not risking my health, my family. It's a chance to make my life better.
Yeah.
And the reward outweighs the cost. So it's game on for me.
I think that's very insightful that you said the more you learn, the more you don't know. It's kind of like medical student syndrome, right? As you kind of go through, you start to realize, or you start to think that you don't know anything, even though you know a lot, because as you go deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, you realize how deep it is. The opposite of that is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. That's when someone doesn't know anything about a situation or anything like that, but due to their ignorance, they believe they know everything because they don't know anything.
It's the teenager syndrome, it feels like.
Yeah, and that's pretty common, especially with finance, the Dunning-Kruger effect, where someone's like, oh, I know everything. And then when they start talking to like someone that does know everything, they're like, oh, okay, I know nothing. But instead of saying that, they end up just lashing out and trying to attack other people.
Yeah. So what is your win of the week, Chris?
Well, my win of the week, it's nothing compared to yours. But I did book my Kenya vacation to the JW Marriott Masai Mara for 2025, which was nearly a $15,000 value had we paid for it. We spent 460,000 points and $400 in fees.
Yo, oh my gosh. You saved 15,000 with your miles, with your points?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we had to pay for those points. We probably spent, in terms of like credit cards and like opening enrollment fees, we probably spent like $700 for $15,000 worth of value.
Dude. So you're going to Kenya 2025. That's one of the trips you've been planning for a while. You finally pulled the trigger on it.
Yep, we finally booked it. Shout out to Marriott. We had some issues with like booking and everything, but we had to call them a few times. We will be staying right now. It looks like we're going to be staying in a room with two queen beds rather than one king bed because there wasn't enough available. But we wanted to make sure we used our points and not having to pay and much additional cash. So the plan is to do that. We're going to plan to fly Emirates business class from LAX to Dubai.
Dude.
Then right now, hopefully in a few weeks, I'll be able to my next one of the week will be, or not next one, but eventually my one of the week will probably be that we're going to pay for our hotel in Dubai for a night or two on points too. Working on that right now.
Wow.
So the only thing we should have to come out of pocket for will be the taxes and fees for the Masai Mara hotel, which by the way is all inclusive too. So all the food, even alcohol is included.
That's the way to do it.
The only thing you have to pay for is you do have to pay admission into the park every day. Because every day we're going to go on a safari, which is pretty cool at the hotel. They even give you professional photography equipment. Nice. So they have like a room full of cameras and like different gear. So you can walk inside there and like pick and choose, like making your own lightsaber. Dude. So when you go out on the safari, you can take professional grade photos with professional cameras rather than just using like your iPhone to
or like
try
buying
to get
a
all
camera
this stuff.
And like figuring it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already included in the price.
Dude, that's amazing. Well, as far as win of the weeks goes, congratulations on that. And you earned it. You earned it. That's the power of credit card hacking right there, isn't it?
That really is. And if that's something you want to be more interested in, please go ahead and listen back to those ones. I think we did episode 30 and 31 was all about credit card hacking. That was really the definitive guide. But if you want to learn, like, where do I start? How do I do this? As a financial advisor, that is something I work with my clients on. So you can always reach out to Chris at Monzon Wealth. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. That's something that I love to do because it really is a life hack of life hacks.
It is. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode on the insurance, the life hacking, and the the viewer mailbags and all sorts. And hopefully Chris and myself's win of the week inspired you to chase your dreams, become financially independent, really light that fire underneath you. And we hope it inspired you today.
I'll see you around. And then please be sure to remember the fee for the show. If you found any value, tell a friend about this. This journey is so much more fun to go on with somebody else than going alone. And then remember to like, subscribe, and we will see you I guess I'll see you in a few weeks because I'll be in Japan for a little while. But Dominic will see you next week with Mr. Mark Massey again to talk whatever they're going to talk about. Yep. I'm very excited to hear it.
Alrighty, guys. Later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.